Mahabharata, Chapter 24, the 12th year, read by Nirvan Bajaj, Ekveer Bajaj and Siana Zaveri. Mahabharata, Chapter 24, the 12th year. King Janamjaya asked Vaishyampayan, "O Holy One, what did the sons of Pandu do after they had freed Duryodhana in the Dvaitavan?" Vaishyampayan said, "The Pandavas, O monarch, then proceeded to the Kamyaka forest where there was an abundance of game. They spent the 12th year of their exile there in acts of charity and in the performance of religious sacrifices. One day, the sage Vyasa came to the Kamyaka forest to see the Pandavas. He said to Yudhishthir, 'O virtuous Yudhishthir, life has its ups and downs. Neither is it filled with joy nor with grief. When one is blessed with good fortune, one must know how to be happy, and when misery strikes, one should bear it with fortitude.' Yudhishthir replied, 'O Holy One, what brings more merit, the bestowal of gifts or the observance of asceticism?' Sage Vyasa replied, 'O child, there is nothing more difficult than the practice of charity. It is difficult to part with hard-earned wealth, so give away gifts to the needy.' Thus the Pandavas spent their days distributing charity and performing austerities. Many were the sages who visited them in the forest. Draupadi fed all of them from the copper thali that Surya had granted the Pandavas, but she made sure she was the last one to eat, because the food from this thali was inexhaustible at each meal till Draupadi had eaten. But the Pandavas, being happy in exile, further filled Duryodhana with envy. He thought to himself, 'Durvas, the ill-tempered sage, will soon be here. I could turn him against the Pandavas.' As expected, Durvas came one day with hundreds of his followers to Hastinapur. Duryodhana received him courteously and looked after his every need. 'Give me food quickly.' Duryodhana fed the sage and his followers. Pleased with his lavish hospitality, Durvas said, 'O king, I wish to grant you a boon.' Duryodhana said, 'The great king Yudhishthir is now living in the forest. O sage, go with your disciples and seek his hospitality, but go after Draupadi has finished her meal.' Durvas agreed with Duryodhana and accordingly arrived with his followers at the hermitage of the Pandavas after Draupadi had finished eating. Yudhishthir received the sage with due honor and said, 'Welcome, O revered sage. There is a river nearby where you could bathe and say your prayers before you rest.' Sage Durvas replied, 'We will return shortly. Let Draupadi have a good meal ready for us.' Draupadi felt helpless and in her despair prayed to the Lord, 'O Krishna, you must save me from the temper of Durvas.' Just then Krishna appeared and said to Draupadi, 'Draupadi, I am very hungry. Give me something to eat first.' But Draupadi replied, 'O Krishna, the thali remains full until I have eaten, but I have already eaten, so there is no food left.' But Krishna replied, 'This is no time for jest, Draupadi. I am tired and hungry. Quickly fetch the vessel and show it to me.' When Draupadi brought the thali to Krishna, Krishna said, 'What is this? A bit of vegetable is stuck here.' Putting that small bit in his mouth, Krishna said, 'May all the souls in this universe be satiated with this.' Then he said to Sahadev, 'Now hurry down to the river and invite the sages for lunch.' Meanwhile, the rishi and his disciples bathing in the river suddenly realized that they did not feel hungry anymore. They said to Durvas, 'I feel full.' Durvas was worried. He said to his disciples,
The Pandavas will be very angry if we do not go for the meal. If provoked, the Pandavas could consume us in their wrath. So it would be better if we go away without their knowing.
So Durvasa and his disciples then quietly departed. At the hermitage, Krishna explained to the Pandavas who were awaiting Durvasa and the other rishis, "O Pandavas, knowing you to be in danger from Durvasa's wrath, Draupadi implored me to come here. But you need have no fear. Afraid of your ascetic powers, Durvasa has run away with his retinue. I will now take your leave." The Pandavas continued to live in the forest. Then one day, the brothers went to a hunting, leaving Draupadi alone at the hermitage. Meanwhile, King Jayadratha came to the forest. Seeing Draupadi in the hermitage, Jayadratha was smitten by her beauty. He said to one of his servants, "Go inquire who that beautiful maiden is." At the hermitage, one of King Jayadratha's guards asked Draupadi,
O fair maiden, we are passing by when Jayadratha, king of Sindhu, saw you. He wishes to know who you are.
Draupadi replied,
I am Draupadi, the wife of valiant Pandavas. My husbands have gone hunting, but they will be pleased to entertain your king as their guest.
When the invitation was conveyed to Jayadratha, he said, "So it is Draupadi. I must go and see her." Draupadi received Jayadratha with the courtesy due to a king. Then Jayadratha said to Draupadi, "Beautiful maiden, come with me and be my queen."
What? What did you say?
Jayadratha replied, "Leave your husbands. A woman should follow her lord in prosperity and leave him in adversity. Now that your husbands have lost their kingdom, come with me." Draupadi said, her face contorted in anger,
Do not speak another word. Are you not ashamed to speak thus? You should be protecting me as would a brother. You are born in a family of virtuous men, but you do not observe dharma. By what you told me, you have incurred the wrath of fiery Pandavas, which is as good as an invitation to death.
But Jayadratha held Draupadi's hand and dragged her to his chariot. He then said, "Draupadi, you cannot frighten me with the threats about the might of the Pandavas." Then Draupadi angrily said, "You wretch, do not defile me with your touch. Help, O Sage Dhomya, help!" Sage Dhomya rushed in and said, "O Jayadratha, observe the Kshatriya code. You cannot carry her without having vanquished the Pandavas. You will surely reap the painful fruits of this despicable act." Disregarding the words of Dhomya, Jayadratha drove away with Draupadi in his chariot. But, O monarch, Dhomya got in the midst of Jayadratha's infantry and began to follow the princess who was being carried away. The Pandavas in the meanwhile were on their way back from the hunt. Bhima observed some stuff and said, "The animals and birds seem to be excited. I wonder if some strangers have entered the forest. Let us hurry back." At the hermitage, the Pandavas found Draupadi's maid weeping. "Oh Lord, the wicked Jayadratha has carried away Draupadi. They have taken that track," she said, pointing to a trail of chariot of. Bhima said, "Quick, let us follow them." Soon, there they are. Sage Dhomya seems to have followed them. In the fight that followed, the Pandavas were able to scatter Jayadratha's men. Even Jayadratha fled, leaving Draupadi behind. Bhima said, "A great many warriors have been killed, so let us return home. I shall tackle Jayadratha later." But Yudhishthira replied, "But Bhima, for the sake of our cousin Dushal, do not slay Jayadratha, wicked though he is." But an indignant Draupadi said, "If you care for me, you must slay that despicable Thus, admonished by Draupadi, Bhima and Arjun went in search of Jayadratha while the others returned to the hermitage. Bhima and Arjun set out in pursuit of their enemy, who rode on unawares. When suddenly he saw back the Pandavas. "Oh, the Pandavas are on my trail. I had better run away." But Bhima caught up with Jayadratha and said, "Stop, Jayadratha!" Bhima seized him by his hair and knocked him to the ground. "You sinful wretch! I would kill you if I were not for Yudhishthira's mercifulness." Then Bhima saved Jayadratha's head and said, If you wish to live, you must declare in public that you are a slave to the Pandavas. Then alone will I spare your life." "Yes." Then Bhima and Arjun secured Jayadratha in chains and flung him into a chariot and drove back to the hermitage. Throwing Jayadratha at Yudhishthira's feet, Bhima said, "Yudhishthira, tell Draupadi that this man has become a slave of the Pandavas." Yudhishthira replied, "Bhima, if you have any regard for me, set him free." Draupadi too said, "Let him off. He has become a slave and you have disfigured him. That is enough for me." Jayadratha was unchained. As he prostrated himself before Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira said, "Go, you are a free man, but never set your heart on evil deeds again." Overpowered by shame, Jayadratha sought the protection of Lord Shiva. He observed severe penance on the banks of the Ganga. Finally, one day Shiva appeared before Jayadratha. He said, "I am pleased with you. Ask for a boon." Jayadratha said, "O Lord, grant that I may be able to defeat all the 5 Pandavas in battle." But Shiva replied, "That is not possible. The Pandavas are unconquerable in battle. However, you will be able to check the advance of the 4 Pandavas once in battle. But you will never be able to check Arjun, who is an incarnation of Nara." A disappointed Jayadratha then returned home. King Janamjaya asked Vaishampayan, "What did the Pandavas do, O sage, after they had rescued Draupadi?" Vaishampayan said, "O monarch, greatly distressed at Draupadi's abduction, the Pandavas left the Gamyaka forest and proceeded towards Dvaitavan. The Pandavas lived there observing rigorous vows and eating frugal meals of fruits and roots. One day, while the Pandavas were dwelling in the forest, a Brahman approached Yudhishthira for help. He said to him, "O king, a deer has roamed away with my shami sticks. I would like you to retrieve them for me. I chased him, but he was too swift for me. Make haste, or else I shall not be able to perform an important yajna." Yudhishthira was distressed on hearing this account. He and his brothers set out in pursuit of the deer, but to no avail. Finally, the Pandavas sat down in despair, and then Nakul said, "O king, we have always followed the path of dharma. We have never refused help to the needy. Yet, why are we caught in this dilemma? Good or bad deeds performed in the past result in joy or sorrow. We should never have spared the lives of the Kauravas. That is the reason why we are in this predicament. And why we should never have tolerated the harsh words spoken by Duryodhana and Dushasan that has put us in this plight." Yudhishthira said, "Your brothers are tired and thirsty. Nakul, climb up this tree, look around and see if there is a lake or a stream nearby." Nakul replied, "All right." When Nakul got up the tree, he said, "I see over there trees that grow only by the waterside. I also hear the cries of cranes, so there must surely be water around." Yudhishthira said, "Good, come down and then fetch us some water in these quivers." Nakul hurried towards the lake. At the lake, as he bent over to quench his thirst, a voice said, "Wait, this lake belongs to me. First answer my questions, and then you may drink the water and take away as much as you require." Disregarding the voice, Nakul drank the water. No sooner had he done that than he fell unconscious. In the meanwhile, Yudhishthira said to Sahadev, "Oh Sahadev, Nakul is taking too long to return. Go bring him back. Do not forget the water." So Sahadev too set out in the direction of the water. At the lake, Sahadev said, "Nakul, Nakul, what is the matter? He must have died of thirst. I had better quench my thirst before I meet the same fate." As Sahadev bent over, the same voice said, "Do not drink the water without first answering my questions. After that, you must take as much as you want." But Sahadev drank the water and he too fell unconscious. So when Arjun came to the lake next, he saw, "Nakul, Sahadev, what has happened to both of you? Who is this cause of your death? I will not spare him. I cannot see anyone about, but let me drink some water, and then I will look for our enemy." He cupped his hand and took some water in it. When the same voice said again, "Arjun, answer my questions before drinking, or I will prevent you from drinking any water." Arjun said, "Come forward and speak. My arrows will tear you to pieces, and then you will not be able to speak thus." Arjun rained arrows freely in that direction from which the voice was heard. The voice said, "By your indiscriminate shooting of the arrows, creatures are likely to be hurt. Just answer my questions and then drink the water. If not, you too will die." But Arjun was tired and thirsty. Deciding to take action later, he too bent over to drink from the lake, and he too paid the same price as his brothers. Back in the forest, Yudhishthir was getting anxious. He said to Bhima, "What is wrong with our brothers? Bhima, go and bring them back along with the water." When Bhima reached the lake, "This must be the act of some Yakshas. Today I will have to fight them. Let me drink some water first." So Bhima too suffered the same fate as his brothers by the lakeside. Soon Yudhishthir too set out looking for his brothers. What could be the reason for their delay? Have they fallen prey to some wild beast, or have they been unable to find the water? Suddenly he saw the lake, but when he reached there, he said, "My brothers, what is wrong with them? Are they dead?" Beholding his brothers lying dead on the ground, Yudhishthir lamented, "Why does my heart not shatter on seeing my beloved brothers in such a state? Who could have slain my brothers? There is no indication of a skirmish or any sign that weapons have been used. Could it be that the evil-minded Duryodhana has devised this wicked scheme? Or Shakuni? There is definitely no poison in the water, as the faces of my brothers are not contorted in pain, but are as serene as ever. Let me sip some water myself, and then I will find out." As Yudhishthir descended to the lake, he heard a voice, "I am a crane. This lake belongs to me. I have caused the death of your brothers, and if you do not answer my queries, you will meet the same fate." Yudhishthir said, "Who are you? A Rudra, a Vasu, or a Marut? A mere bird could not have killed these mighty warriors. You are indeed powerful, for you have killed those whom neither gods, nor Gandharvas, nor Asuras, nor Rakshas could slay. Pray, tell me who you are." The voice said, "I am a Yakshas, not a bird. It is by my power that your brothers lie here dead. If you answer my questions, you may drink from my lake." Just then the Yakshas appeared in his fearful form. Yudhishthir answered all his questions, which were about dharma and karma, and all the meaningful stuff for life. Finally, after many questions being asked, the Yakshas said, "I am pleased with your answers, so I will grant back the life of one of your brothers. Whom do you choose?" Yudhishthir quickly said, "Restore Nakul to life, my lord." The surprised Yakshas asked, "Why Nakul, O king? It is believed that Bhima is dear to you, and that you rely greatly on Arjun's valor. Nakul is your stepbrother. Why then do you wish for his life?" Yudhishthir replied, "O Yakshas, kindness and equality are the foremost aspects of my dharma. My father had 2 wives, Kunti and Madri. In me, Kunti has a son alive. In all fairness, Madri should be spared a son too. So Lord, let Nakul live again." The Yakshas was very pleased. He said, Yudhishthir, all your brothers shall come to life. Soon the 4 dead Pandavas were back on their feet, and Yudhishthir said, My lord, you cannot be a Yakshas. You slew my brothers who are capable of fighting 100,000 warriors. Are you a friend of ours? Please reveal yourself. The next moment the Yakshas vanished, and in his place stood Yama, the lord of death and the lord of dharma. And he said to Yudhishthir, O son, I am your father, Yama. I came here to test you, and I am pleased with you, and confer a boon on you. Yudhishthir said, We promised the Brahman that we would retrieve his fire sticks that a deer had carried away. Please grant that we may find them. Giving Yudhishthir the fire sticks, Yama said, It was I, in the guise of a deer, who carried the sticks away. I did it to draw you here. O king, ask for another boon and I will grant it to you. The Pandavas said, We have spent 12 years in the forest. Lord, please grant that in the 13th year of our exile, we will not be recognized by anyone. Yama said, So be it. I grant yet another boon. Yudhishthir said, May I conquer lust, avarice and anger. May my mind be ever devoted to charity, truth and righteousness. Yama said, O Pandav, you are endowed with these qualities, for you are yourself the Lord of justice. You will attain what you ask for. On saying this, Yama went away. The Pandavas returned to their hermitage and gave back the fire sticks to the Brahman. They spent their last days of exile in the forests with many ascetics waiting in anticipation of the 13th year. And thus ends the 24th session of our rendering of Vaishnavan's recital of Vyasa's immortal Ityasa, the Mahabharata. Stay tuned for Mahabharata chapter 25, and it is called The Pandavas at Virat's Place. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share and comment on this video. Thank you
And Namaste.